God be with you.
I'd like to learn to read.
You? You don't look like the makings of a priest or clerk. But why not? I've taught all sorts. Bear in mind, it won't be all that easy. You'll need plenty of time and a few groschen for my trouble.
All right. I don't want to waste time. We can get started. The sooner I master it, the better.
Very well. I will require some groschen from you, though, and set aside at least a couple of days so I can put you through your paces, if indeed time is of the essence.
Here are your groschen.
Then we may as well start.
이틀 보내도 상관없나?
He did break his vow, but better than to dishonor it here. May he follow his heart. Wake up, lad. It's time we were getting on. So, let's see you read a bit. There's a book here on the table. Try to read it.
Will I manage?
You ought to be able to. It's a simple text. Come back once you've worked your way through it.
동화네, 동화. 예.
I've read the book.
Wonderful.
That being greedy doesn't pay.
Excellent. You're one of my most talented pupils. You've uncovered the meaning hidden in the letters. Like I told you, books are valuable. And the words that you place in them ought to be no less so.
Does that mean that I can read then?
Yes, you have the foundation. Remember, my boy, the pen is mightier than the sword. To fully learn your way around words will take a lot more reading yet. Now we'll move on to the second lesson, which will be much harder. Many books are written in Latin, the language of erudite. There's a book on the table with some text. Read it and then...
I only just managed the fable about the goose, and now you're asking me to tackle...
You're a clever lad. You'll manage.
아, 얘는 책을 파는구나. 아, 이거구나. 이게 뭐야?
I read the page.
So tell me,
이거였던 것 같은데.
Nullus est liber tam
맞네, 맞네.
malus.
이거 맞네.
Ut non alique parte prosit.
good heavens! Don't tell me you haven't had lessons before. Excellent. Well, there's nothing more I can teach you. Congratulations.
장난해?
You can
이거
go
사이비 아니야?
right away.
Thank you, Domine. I'm feeling a lot wiser. I'm looking for a fellow who lives...
Must be that farmhand Lubosh. May the Lord watch over.
이거 독본 읽으면은 올라가나? 진행도. 이것만 진행도가 뜨네. 이거 한번 사볼까? 와, 뭐 이렇게 비싸? 겁나 비싸네. 이제
Can we do something
돈이야
about
다시
the price?
벌면
Well,
다시.
Are we agreed?
I'd almost.
What do you say to this?
That's not enough. See now.
한번 읽어봅시다. 아, 이걸 이런 식으로 읽는 거구나. 아, 요거는 가지고 있어야겠네요. 좋다, 좋다. 이거 막 가져가야 되나? 이건 돈 많아. 대박. 너무 착했죠. 그냥 이런 책은 근데 읽으면은 도움이 되나요? 뭐 오르는 것도 없는데? 오르나? 이렇게 표시가 없어지면 오르는 건가? 속이 밖에 나와있네.
Take care now.
돈 많은 상인 없나? 물건 팔 게 많은데. 여관에 방을 사고 물건 팔아서 돈 다 뜯어내야겠다. 그런 거구나.
I'm honored that I'd like
승마수도
you to show me
가지.
how. Certainly. I'd like to practice. All right. Now. Farewell.
갑자기 반말해. 가르쳐 줄 때.
I'd like you to show me. Certainly. I'd like to
아이고.
hone my. First, you have to. I'm interested in. All right. Isn't that quite a. What do you say? I'd all. Agree. Now.
아, 진행도 있는 기술 레벨.
I'm at your.
I'm looking for the.
If he isn't in this, God be with you. Good day to you.
Have you got a bed for them?
I suppose. For how long?
How about if I...
No problem.
Agree?
Well. You all like it here.
Where do I go?
You'll have no trouble finding it. Right inside the door to the building, there's a ladder up to the loft. Take care now.
대장장이. 여기는 갑옷 상인도 없고 갑옷 상인이 돈이 많던데. 아니 방앗 간지기구나. 다야? 대정장이도 안 보이고. 저기다 대정장이. 맞나? 숙군인가 대정장인가?
Who are you?
Culture told me to cut them down and burn them before the others catch whatever it is.
Don't be ashamed. Find trees like that.
Aye, but better to save a few if I can than risk them all.
True enough. That'd be much worse.
Hey! Hey!
왜?
I'm looking for... I'm looking for...
Where do you think? God be with you.
숫돌도 안 보이고 대장간도 안 보이네. 이놈 우지수 이 마을은 어떻게 된 건데? 개소리다. 출발할 때 수리를 하고 왔어야 되는데 여기 있을 줄 알고 수리를 안 했더니 개피부네.
If only.
여기 뭐 아무것도 없네요. 퀘스트도 없고 퀘스트를 안 주지.
Ow!
좀
Learn to ride a horse before you kill someone.
너무나도 부리못이다. 대정장이가 없진 않을 텐데. 뭐야? 사람이 왜 이렇게 모여있지? 죽었나 보다.
Move along, citizens. Move along. There's nothing to see here.
That's what you call nothing to see. I'd like to know what something to see looks like.
By the keys of St. Peter, this is all I need. We'll have to send word to Sir Hanush.
That might not be necessary.
Who are you?
I'm Henry of Skalitz.
in the service of Hanish's Captain Bernard. I'm investigating the attack at Neuhof, and I think this could be related.
Well, I'm the bailiff of Auschwitz. And I say we don't want any of that kind of trouble around here. What makes you think this has anything to do with Neuhof?
One of the folk at the stud farm recognized someone from Auschwitz among the bandits.
We have no bandits or murderers around here.
Really? They say he had a limp?
Shit. Well, allow me to introduce you
죽었네.
to Limpy Lubosh. Or all that's left of him.
겁나 잔인하게 죽였네.
Sakura. Nothing's ever easy. I'll have to take a look around and ask a few more questions, if that's all right with you.
You can take this mess off my hands and welcome to it. As for what else there is to find out, I don't know. But look and ask all you like.
Who was Limpy Lubosh?
A poor crofter and a scoundrel. Can't say I'm too surprised what happened to him. He kept company with all sorts of vermin. He was always getting into some kind of trouble. Punch-ups in the tavern and what have you.
How come he limped?
He got that from some villainy or brawl a long time ago.
Has he been up to anything suspicious lately?
I don't know. The last few days he didn't go anywhere. He was home the whole time. But he always kept everyone in the village at arm's length.
Did he have any kith or kin in the village?
None. A loner he was. I don't know the last time I saw him with anyone.
Do you happen to know where he was on the night of the Neuhof raid?
I've no idea. He kept his distance from other folk, so you never knew if he was away or holed up at home.
Do you happen to know where he was on the night of the Neuhof raid?
I've no idea. He kept his distance from other folk, so you never knew if he was away.
Another thing about Luke. When did you find the body?
Just now, and nobody saw or heard anything. I don't know how they could gut him like that without someone hearing him scream.
God save.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanish of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
I don't know how I can help you, but ask if you must.
Who was this Lubosh who was murdered?
You could see at first glance he was no good. I kept well out of his way.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
There wasn't sight or sound of him for a long time, and then yesterday he turned up at the church and even talked to the parish priest. I never saw him do that before. Probably had a bad conscience.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
I don't think he was home. I didn't see him all.
Do you know who Lubosh used to spend time with? Kin or...
As far as I know.
That's all.
May the Lord watch over you.
Good evening.
I've come in the name...
Ask away.
Who was this?
He was a drunkard and a beast, and lazy too.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
The only thing seemed suspicious was how a roguelike...
Do you know what Lubosh was doing?
What do I care about that?
Do you know who Lubosh used...
He was always a loner. Except lately he started...
That's all.
Take care.
진짜
I'm at your service.
I've come in the name...
I don't know nothing.
That man Lubosh.
I didn't really know him.
Have you noticed anything...
Come to think of it, he wasn't... I was wondering.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing?
I was coming from the tavern very late. He looked like he was in a hurry.
Do you know anyone?
Not with anyone from the village.
That's all.
교회를 가야 되네.
Lord watch over.
다른 건 뭐?
What's this? Looks like someone's hit him very hard on the head. Could they have bludgeoned him to death and then gutted him? That would explain why he didn't scream. Judas. Looks like this is meant to be a warning. But for who? And why? Maybe the gang had a falling out. But a bandit... Judas. Judas. What's this? Looks like someone's hit him very hard on the head. Could they have bludgeoned him to death? Lord above, they did a hell of a job on him. Must have been agony. How come no one heard anything?
What are you up to here? Lost something?
네, 찾아봐야죠.
Nothing here. Nothing here.
뭐야? 얘는 왜 여기 앉아있지?
Good luck then.
이거 뭐야? 마누라야?
I've come in the...
I don't know how.
That's all. Thank you.
Take care.
다 떴었네.
Nothing unusual. Nothing unusual.
뭐야?
Lord above, they did a hell of a job on him. Must have been agony. How come no one heard anything?
비명 소리를 들을 사람이 있다고? 뭐가 더 있나?
Nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Armour? Well, it seems Lubosh wasn't your everyday crofter. And judging by the bloodstains, it looks like he lived the way he died. Lord above, they did a hell of a job on him. Judas. Lord above, they did a hell of a job on him. What's this? Looks like someone's hit him very hard on the head. Could they have bludgeoned him to death and then gutted him? That would explain why he didn't scream.
What's that?
아니, 교회를 가봐야겠네요.
Jesus Christ be...
Another thing about... I found armour in his house.
God preserve us. Everyone knows he was a violent oaf, but I never thought he'd stoop to murder. At least he never did that here. May the Lord watch over you.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanish of...
I don't know how I.
That's all.
Take care.
이 여자 상당히 수상한데. 여관 가면 되겠다. 여관 가면 되겠다. 타고 여관 가면 되겠다. 아, 비키세요. 아저씨가 잘못한 거지. 내가 잘못했나.
Yeah. Yeah.
응? 여기 아닌가?
Yeah.
여기도 안 싸우네.
Hey!
나오네. 아주 어두워졌는데 그냥 잘까요? 자고 내일 아침에 갈까? 사제까지만 대화를 하고 가까이 있으니까 자나 설마? 자는 거 아니지?
The blessings of our good Lord be with you, Father. I'm here in the name of Sir Hanish of Lipa, investigating the massacre at Neuhof, which seems to be connected to a murder here. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanish is employing children as investigators. But ask as you wish, boy. I hope this nasty business will be cleared up quickly.
Did you know Lubosh? What was he like?
A bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Did you notice anything suspicious recently?
My child, all sorts of suspicious things have been going on recently. People like Lubosh don't know what to do about it, and sometimes they do stupid things.
That's really not a lot of help to me, Father.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing on the day Neuhof was raided?
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation, but I can't.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of man, son, and one of those is the sanctity of the confessional.
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances, and this is one of them.
화술 플러스 3이 있네.
But Lubosh is dead. You can't hurt him, but if you don't tell me, more innocent people may die.
If I told you, I would be betraying a vow that's a cornerstone of the Holy Church. If people believed the sanctity of the confessional couldn't be trusted, the consequences would be even worse than that.
Worse than the death of innocent Christians? Worse than the murderer escaping punishment?
No one escapes punishment.
Father, Lubosch was my only lead to the Neuhof raiders. Only he... If I don't find out who it was, it will
I wouldn't. Suppose we talk it over in the evening. In the tavern. Over a...
All right.
Take care now.
뭐야? 이게 이렇게 된다고?
The blessings of...
And with you,
The blessings of our Lord be...
And with you,
뭐야? 저 아저씨 빨개 벗고 맨발로 갑자기? 이런 부분이 조금 엉성하긴 한데 웃기긴 하네. 가보길 잘했다 그래도.
Put
아이고, 아이고,
that
아이고,
weapon
아이고.
away, damn it.
미안해.
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work something out. But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh. I'm sorry. What about your kin?
They're dead.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless, and we had no warning. They just appeared and began the slaughter. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle. My parents, my girl, even the Deutsch who was on Sigismund's side. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fled to Talmberg with the Cumans on my heels. They almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There was a pile of bodies in front of a church in Rovna. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child. May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanish to send that old grouch, Bernard.
He did, but I found a witness and the trail led here to Ujitz, so he sent me here to follow it up.
Ah, well, congratulations. It's nice to see someone using their head to find things out instead of torture. We'll have to drink to that. Now the most important thing. What actually happened at Neuhof? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Lubosch, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home. Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
I understand, but that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again, and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what Lubos told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But, first thing tomorrow, I'll try something I think might help you.
Word of honor?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Ujits is in Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them in detail. A tongue lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life, with a nice moral to them, are popular as well. Especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
지금이랑
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church. The lamentable wealth in which the church is drowning has turned to poison. And nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive furs, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman and then criticises the Pope for debauchery?
No, I don't.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my taste. If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd stop condemning drinking and lying with women.
Where can I find out more about his teachings?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read them at my presbytery.
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe.
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. Oh, it's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
Ah, that sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
뭐야, 세례사 만나러 가야 돼?
To nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj panuje sej smutek, dodnie i rano utek, niech już małżeński majstrat, do wczera żylne staje brak. Už sej moji svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejbě jich učit, nám je to jedno a ta si si hubí jako poslední jen. Půjde se mámy, panorama slávy a pak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem, tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zítra jen tu soudnej den, tak nalej mi hned, ať točí se svět. Enough of this! Bailiff! Come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped, and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
Oh. You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
뭐야?
I wonder what Teresa's doing now. I could stop by and see her again. Is that
뭐야? 싸워야 돼?
Do pici. Here. To hell with you.
왜 이렇게 잘 써? 얘네 왜 이렇게 잘 써? 칼질을 되나? 안돼 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 칼질을 뭐야 갑자기?
I'd love to. And Henry too, I'm sure.
Right, Henry. Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you out of your mind? What will people say?
They can say what they like. What do I care? What do they do to me? Watch the step, my dears. Careful, you don't hurt yourself.
Godwin,
Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody oath. And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Godwin, you old goat.
Come here. Oh.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
갑자기? 아우 다 있네.
Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Godwin, you beast! Get up! Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh, fucking hell. Who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, step on my head. My guts. My poor suffering stomach. What was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Mass! Oh shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me.
I'd like to help you, but...
You can. You can do the sermon for me.
What? So, first I investigate a murder no one wants investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it. Suppose that Sir Ratzig's protege. You just came from studying in Prague. And you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard... Henry, look. From what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night. And if the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it. Stop gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're stark raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this, I'll tell you who Lubosh's cronies are.
So all at once the confessional seal isn't so sacred?
Don't mock me.
We'll never get away.
Not if you make a hat. No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do exactly?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. You give the sermon I told you yesterday in the tavern, and that's that. No need to drag it out. If it turns out well, I'll tell you.
Christ almighty.
Wonderful. Come on, Henry. Don't tell me you changed your mind.
옷은 입어야 될 거 아니에요. 평판이 왜 떨어졌지? 옷을 다 입고 있어서 그런가?
I thought he'd never show up.
Look at him. He can hardly walk after his capers last night.
You were with them, you beast. Just you.
Look at him. Mother of God, any minute now he'll throw up.
개판이구만.
So I couldn't sleep a wink last night with all that clamor.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Accepit panem in sanctas at venerabiles a manus suas. Hac facite in meam commemorationem. Brothers and sisters, you may have had the honor of meeting Henry from Skalitz, who is here at the behest of Sir Hanush to investigate that heinous crime at Neuhof. You might not know that Henry recently visited Prague, where, by the grace of God, was able to hear Master Jan Hus from the esteemed Charles University preaching. I've managed to persuade Henry to stand here today in my stead and tell us what he heard. Because, as you all probably know, Jan Hus is a very popular preacher in Prague. So, Henry, you may begin.
Now I'm curious which one of them will puke first.
Brothers and sisters, let me get straight to the point. I'd like to talk about the church and how corrupt it is.
That boy has a cheek.
Creation has given to every man the power by which he might rule the whole world. But that power does not give him the right to rule. That right belongs to God alone. It is the corruption of God's pastors here on earth that has brought misfortune on our heads. Plague, humans, hunger, and chaos. The accursed wealth that the church is drowning in is poisoning almost the whole of Christendom. When dogs are fighting over a bone, take the bone and they will stop. Just like the flock of ravens that has descended on this land to peck up every speck of gold and silver. They show no mercy. Their hearts are poisoned by covetousness. They trade everything. Everything is for sale. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay, and you will have absolution. And the prelates sin and give themselves absolution.
For shame! Shame upon them!
It is the custom of the gluttonous prelates and monks to preach against sin. But what do they know of us ordinary folk? Let us remember the marriage at Cana, where our Lord Jesus Christ himself feasted with the other guests and drank his fill. And when the wine was gone, he performed a miracle and created more. He, whose companions were poor travellers, simple folk, prostitutes and troublemakers, performed a miracle so the feast could continue.
Now that's the kind of sermon I like to hear.
No, brothers and sisters. Jesus did not condemn alcohol. Drink to lighten the cross you bear in this vale of tears, but not with such abandon that you cannot keep holy the Sabbath. For there should be moderation in all things, and it is not drinking itself that is sinful, but intemperance and beastly indulgence.
He's right.
Enough about sin, which the prelates are so fond of preaching about, and whose absolution they promise if you only pay enough coin to Mother Church. What if the devil himself were to pay? Will the bishops tell us he too would ascend to heaven? And what about those bishops? They sin without remorse, and with the money grasped from the poor for indulgences, they keep fine horses and hordes of servants to pamper them. They play dice and garb their mistresses in expensive furs, while Christ, the Lamb of God, walked barefoot and had nowhere to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too.
Down with the prelates. Away with them.
We're fortunate to have our good Father Godwin. At least he's a fair and simple man.
잘 돼.
Hear my words then. The church is corrupt, and her servants seek their own gain more than the salvation of your souls. A priest who fornicates and indulges in gluttony and intoxication is no priest at all. You would do better to be your own priests, each and every one of you, for you have no need for such Pharisees and hypocrites to attain salvation.
Yes! Down with the hypocrites! Down
이거
with
잘못
Godwin!
선택한 것
That
같은데.
is all I heard in Prague. Amen.
Have you no shame, you pair of buffoons? I'll be writing to the bishop of this. For shame.
Utterly blasphemous.
Can you believe such behaviour? For men of the cloth to get drunk at...
So, is our deal still on?
Are you pulling my fucking pizzle? I couldn't have done worse myself if I'd puked on the altar.
Well, I'm no preacher.
Yeah, I noticed. And I wasn't the only one.
잘한 거
You
아니었나?
can't be serious.
마지막에
After
선택
all
진짜
that.
잘못됐나?
All what? All you making a complete hash of my sermon? You were supposed to help, not get me into even more trouble. Now I'll have the bishop on my back and all the villagers. Just leave. I need to pull myself together.
And what am I supposed to do?
Find someone else to help you.
아이씨, 가르쳐 준다더니.
God be with you.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Light.
Of course, ask him.
That man Lubosh.
He was a drunk who was always looking for a fight.
Have you noticed
Well...
Have you noticed anything?
Well...
Do you know what Lubosh...
Not a clue.
Do you know anyone...
He was a loner.
That's all. Thank
See you later.
No mistake. How about going round and trampling his cabbage patch a bit?
What do you need?
I'll take the old woman.
God be with you.
We'll have a good dance.
Godwin's been up to his tricks again.
Do you have any work? My dear lad, I have more worries than I have to deal with a local witch.
A witch?
The herb woman, old Gertrude. That diva.
Oh, don't tell me. The cows are giving blood instead of milk, and babies are being born with 2 heads of...
This is no laughing matter. Gertrude isn't evil. She just has peculiar ideas about what's good for people. A little
bird told you, did it?
You know how good people are at seeing the splinter in another's eye and not the beam in their own.
In other words, someone's been... And what's the problem?
As long as herb women stick to giving psychic to folk and bloated cows, assisting in childbirth or burning it, but this is sacrilege, and it's unsafe. All sorts of molds and lichens and poisonous plants and other...
What do you want me to do?
I want you to go and see her and find out what she's been up to. I know she lives in... If you learn that she truly did involve folk in some foolishness...
Consider it done.
Good. And never fear. I'm a man who always pays his debts. Good luck, then.
I've come in the name...
I don't know how I...
That's all. Thank you.
선택지를 잘못 골라서 그런가. 퀘스트가 끊어져 버렸네.
God be with you.
Godwin won't tell me who Lubos's crone.
Don't even mention that so-called priest. He knocked out one of my teeth yesterday, and you were there with him. I ought to clap you in the stocks.
I'll go willingly if you stick Godwin next to me. It'd be worth it just to see him suffer.
I can well imagine. I've already told you, nobody came here to see him. But now it occurs to me. I did hear he was tried in Rattay for some mischief or other.
라타이? 아,
Maybe you can
라타이까지
find
가야
out
돼.
something there. The scribe might have made a record of it.
돌아가야 되는데.
I never thought of that.
And let me give you another piece of advice. Don't go boozing with Godwin again. Good luck then. God be with you.
I'm at your service.
I've come in the name.
Sir Hannes gives a job like that to a young fellow like...
That man Lub...
He was a strange one.
Have you noticed?
I didn't see much of him.
Do you know what Lub...
I don't think he was hurt.
Do you know anyone Lub...
I really don't know.
That's all.
See you later.
없네. 계속 나오냐 사람이.
So my wife's brother finally paid back the dozen groschen he owed me.
What? You mean the money you lent him? Well, at least he paid it back in the end.
He did. Isn't that God's truth?
여기까지 가야 돼.